All right, guys, welcome back to the Ohio High School Hoops Around the State podcast. It has been a while, probably since the summer when we were taking our trip down memory lane pretty much weekly. But football season is come and gone. Regular season is about cashed in. And here we are, in my opinion, sports-wise, one of the best times of the year, most exciting times of the year. We got, the high school tournament getting started, which is what we're going to talk about, and then, college basketball starting to wind down. Got NBA All-Star Weekend this weekend, so if you are a basketball junkie, like the guy that I am bringing on today, this is your time of the year. So today we are glad to be joined by Mike Roth from Prep Hoops, Ohio. Mike, how we doing today?
Stubbs, I'm doing good. A lot of driving recently for me. I'm right at the edge of 100 games in person so far this year. We're at 97. So it won't be too long in the playoffs before I pass the century mark this season on Ohio high school basketball games.
97. Do you have any idea like how many individual teams you've seen?
So I have a list. It would take me a while to count. I believe it is barely over 100 from Ohio, and then I've also seen like 15 out-of-state teams.
Yeah, I mean, I know some of the events and things like that. You're seeing duplicates of teams, but still pretty wild that you're gonna eclipse 100 games here as the tournament rolls on. Ironically, I guess I didn't really look at the dates. I didn't realize that teams were starting tournament play already. I mean, it used to be like there was an old saying like, you're trying to make it to March. Some of these teams barely made it to Valentine's Day. I know Fairborn just got beat, so they're gone on February 16th. But I think there's been some games played prior to tonight, correct?
I believe there were 2 games on Valentine's Day, and then there were about 40 last night on the 15th. So recording today on the 16th. Probably after tonight, there's going to be like 80 to 90 teams already done with their year.
That is crazy to me. I don't know why. I just thought the tournament started this Saturday. But I know some of these teams or some of these districts take 2 weeks on the quote-unquote sectional. I don't know how much that term is even meaningful anymore. A lot of these are just super districts. But it used to, some of these teams some of these districts take 2 weeks to do the sectional, and some take, I know Northwest Ohio always is a 1 week thing with the sectionals. Northeast Ohio typically is as well. I know Southwest, Southeast always typically get a head start, and then the East is just kind of, you never know what they're gonna do. But yeah. So we're gonna kind of, this is the kind of format just to give the listeners an idea of what we're gonna do here. So we're gonna go through the divisions. We're gonna start with one because, as I was telling Mike before we jumped on here, if I want to run over on anything, you've got far more contending teams in Division I when it comes to district titles than any other division, and that's to be expected. But so what we're going to do is we're going to look at the contenders in each district. We're going to maybe take a look at some sleepers, potential matchups that we could see in the district, and then list who we think is our district favorite. So hopefully we can do a regional show once that field of 64, so 16 teams in each division. Once that field is set, we can come back and do a regional preview. But we're going to just kind of stay with the district level at this point and see what we're thinking when it comes to each of the districts. So we'll start in Region 1, which is the Toledo region. We got the Copley district, and you tell me what you think here. Some of the teams, I listed three teams that I thought could be contenders for this district were 2-seeded Broadview Heights, 5-seeded Shaker Heights, and then 4-seeded Cleveland Heights, and then 13-seed Rhodes. I listed as a sleeper. And potential matchup that I listed is a possible game with Broadview Heights and Shaker Heights, which could be pretty good. Broadview Heights coming off a big win over St. Ed's after they dropped their first game of the season to Buchtel over the weekend. So, Mike, what are you thinking here in Copley?
Yeah, I drove 3 hours last night to watch the Brecksville versus St. Ed's game, and Brecksville was impressive. They had 60% of the fans there at St. Ed's. They came out, they jumped on the Eagles on their senior night, were up by as many as 22 points. They shoot the ball at a high level. Luke Skaljek was phenomenal last night. They're the clear favorite to me to win this district. I like Rhodes as a sleeper, but I kind of think that Brecksville's going to kind of walk to the district title. And if it's anybody but Cleveland Heights, I don't think they're going to sweat that much. Seems like the Lake Erie League is as down as it's been as far as I can remember. Shaker, I think, went 13-1. And I think most years, if you only lose one game in the Lake Erie League, you're probably one of the 5 to 10 best teams in Division One. And Shaker was the 5th seed in just the west side of Cleveland. So down year for the Lake Erie League. I'm not sure if that changes in the playoffs with, I think they're 2 top teams both in this district.
Yeah, with Broadview Heights, a lot of times that, that conference gets, kind of labeled that, sometimes they have good records, but they're maybe not a real contender. But I think last night, and, not to get it twisted, I mean, this isn't like a unbelievable St. Ed's team it's a good St. Ed's team. It's not a great St. Ed's team, but still, I think that's got to be a huge confidence builder for this team to let them know that they can compete with, not only, the Northeast Ohio's best.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first time Ed's has lost at home to a Northeast Ohio public school since 2009 when Glenville did it.
So I would agree with you there. I think I'd go Broadview Heights as well. Now down in Elyria, we've got, to me, I listed a contender, and I listed St. Ignatius as the team that I would say is the contender here. And then, you got some teams like 6-seeded Brunswick, 7-seed Olmsted Falls, 9-seed Copley, and 10-seed Westlake. But to me, this is St. Ignatius district to lose. They have been, in my opinion, and you may be able to tell me more, perhaps injuries or something like that, but they've been a little bit disappointing this year. Making the state last year, having a lot of guys back, got a couple of guys in. They've had some games this year where I was kind of a head scratcher, but I still think they're the favorite here.
Yeah, Ignatius was a year ahead of schedule last year when they made the Final Four. And I think looking back at it, we probably put a bit too much stock into that playoff run. Even though you should put a lot of stock into those playoff runs, like them knocking off Eds in the regional semifinals last year to get to their Final Four, that was impressive. But yeah, this district's interesting. Westlake has only lost twice all season. They're looking to win the GLC. That's a conference mostly with Division II and Division III schools. But still, Westlake really scores the basketball at a high level. They don't have the top end talent that Sylvania Northview does, but they I feel like they play kind of similar styles. And Northview kind of ran Ignatius out of the gym. I wouldn't expect Westlake to do that to Ignatius. But certainly, like, if you have a hot shooting game, there's no reason why you can't compete with Ignatius. And then the bottom side of this district is really stacked. Brunswick is 6 seed, Olmsted Falls is 7 seed, Copley is a 9 seed. Brunswick has a lot of shooting talent year in and year out. They're one of the best outside shooting teams. Copley, I believe they won their side of the Suburban League. Caleb Lorich, one of the more underrated bigs in the senior class. And then Olmsted Falls, they've quietly just been dominant in their conference. And it's a football conference. I don't think anybody in the league takes basketball more seriously than they take football. But it's still impressive what Olmsted Falls has done to be as consistent as they have. They obviously had a great team when they knocked off Lorraine a couple seasons ago. I don't think this one has as much experience or top-end talent, but they're a program that has had success in the playoffs, and I'd probably expect Olmsted Falls to make it out to the district title game if I had to pick one between Olmsted Falls, Copley, and Brunswick.
So, your district favorite, Ignatius?
Yes.
Okay. So we're 2 for 2 there on the agreeance. All right. So moving to Millbury. So we're moving more to the northwest part of the state here, and I love this district. I think there's a lot of parity in this district. I listed contenders. Perrysburg and Findlay there in the top half of the bracket. And then in the bottom half, you got Lima Senior, the top seed. Some potential sleepers, Southview, a 7 seed, and Toledo Star, a 9 seed. A couple matchups that could potentially happen. Perrysburg and Findlay, I think, would be a fantastic game. And then you could potentially have Perrysburg or Findlay against Lima Senior. It is, to me, I have Lima Senior. I have them as the favorite, but there's a lot to like about this district.
Yeah, there is. Findlay started off the year, I think, 0-3 in the track, and I watched them at Toledo Central Catholic, and they were down like 10 points at halftime, on the verge of going to 0-4 in conference play. And then Max Roth and Jake Bishop just took over in that second half, led them to a big victory over the Irish. They got some wins against some of the easier teams in conference and have been very competitive ever since then. I believe they split with Lima Senior. So Findlay is definitely a team that I don't know if Lima Senior is going to want to play, just because they've already played each other twice. Perrysburg, they lost twice in close battles to Sylvania Northview. Their league isn't as tough top to bottom as the track is, but it seems like both Perrysburg and Northview are some of the top teams in Northwest Ohio. I think if you were going to take an underdog seed to win a district in this region, Findlay would be a good bet as the 3rd seed in this region. I'd say it's more likely that Lima Senior wins, just because Lima Senior's path to the district title game is super easy. But, I would not be surprised if Findlay walks away winner of this district. But I think Quincy Simpson has earned the respect. If he's the number 1 seed in Northwest Ohio, nobody should be picked ahead of them until you knock them off, because they're the top dogs.
Yeah, I have them picked as my district favorite. Down at Toledo, you've got Sylvania Northview, who you've mentioned, as having a great season. Sean Craig is is a kid that maybe a lot of people around the state have not heard of. And in the bottom half, you got, a couple rivals, but you got Toledo St. John's and Toledo Whitmer. And St. John's and Whitmer have split in the regular season, and that's a potential, bottom half of their could be a third meeting between those teams. And then I listed Ashland as a possible sleeper. I picked Northview to win this district. They've been, when you look at consistency, they've been, and I know that their league is not as tough as the track, but they've been very consistent this year. St. John's and Whitmer have had some games where they've gotten blown out. And so it's kind of, and they both have talent, but they've been a little bit up and down in some games this year. So I went ahead and went with Northview here.
Yeah, so this is a district that I'm actually planning on going to the district semis on March 1st, thinking it's either going to be Ashland or Bowling Green against Northview, and then either Toledo St. John's or Fremont Ross versus Whitmer. So pretty excited, really, with any of the matchups. Would probably prefer to see the St. John's Whitmer rivalry, but I have already seen St. John's this year, so I wouldn't be too upset seeing Fremont Ross. This is interesting because it seems like a lot of these teams have that like one go-to guy that they're going to rely on. You already mentioned Sean Craig, but Ashland, Luke Denbo. They play a sort of style that I think Northview isn't going to complain about, but if Northview wants to push the pace, that's also playing into Ashland's hands if you get to that matchup. So it'll just be interesting. I think if Ashland has a really hot shooting night, they could take down Northview. And then at the bottom side of the district, admittedly, I don't know enough about Whitmer. They were the best team in the track. I didn't see it, which is really why I'm planning on going up on the first to see them. So, man, if I had to pick one team in this district, I probably would go with Whitmer, They got a nice balance of senior and underclassmen talent. They're more battle-tested than Northview or anybody else on the top side of the bracket will be. And, it's tough. I mean, I think you could flip a coin between Northview and Whitmer as the favorite, but I'll lean Whitmer right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, you could go wrong. I mean, you could make a case for, I think, at least three teams in that district to win that. All right, so let's move to Region 2, which is the Cleveland region. So we'll start with the Twinsburg district. Contenders here, to me, are number 3, Solon, number 5, Hoover, and number 6, Dover. I listed Jackson. It's hard to believe that I listed Massillon Jackson as a sleeper. And then I also listed number 12, Akron Hoban, as a sleeper. I picked Solon to win this district, but I'm really high on this Dover team. I watched them play last year against Mentor, and it's interesting to think that a team could get beat by 25 points like Dover did that night in the tournament, and I thought, man, Dover played really well, and they got beat by 25. And the majority of those kids are back. They've had a great year. The only game they lost to was to their rival. They split with their rival, New Philly. I know that they are probably more of a Division II type team. They're I want to say they have the least amount of boys in Division I. They're like that 353 mark. But this is a really good team led by T.C. Mulk, who came off a big game on Saturday. I think he had like 41 points in the OVAC championship game. But I did end up going with Solon here. So what do you think?
This is the deepest region in the Northeast, out of the Northeast Division I districts. I'm I'm going to go down swinging with Massillon Jackson. I just
Okay.
am. I really like their path to get to the district semis. For whatever reason, they got the 33 and the 36 seed, even though they were the 8 seed. Nobody wanted them. Even the 17 seed wanted to play Solon. In the bottom side of the bracket, Hoover, Hoban, that's tough. Dover against either Hoover or Hoban, I'm not too sure. I think even you'll admit Dover hasn't really challenged themselves like at all this year, and that's an issue. I know you got a certain amount of regular season games in your conference that you got to play, but I think it might be a shock to them if they make it to a district title game and maybe Solon turns up the pressure, or they got to play the size that Hoover has, or they got to play a Division I recruit like Jonas Nichols for Hoban. So as much as their one-loss regular season was impressive, it's tough for me to buy into Dover at the Division I level. So I'm going to go down swinging with Jackson. They've been disappointing all year. I watched them opening game of the season get 30-pieced by Lakota East. But this team has more talent than anybody else in the district. They've got the coaching staff that have won. So I'll ride with them.
Yeah, I like that pick. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to believe that Jackson is an 8 seed, especially coming into the season. I thought they were going to be really, really good. And, this is the time of the season where they can prove that they are what we thought they would be. So I'm going to go with Solon. You're going to go with Jackson. I think that's a good pick. At Alliance, we've got Green, we've got Walsh Jesuit, and we've got Lake. Green and Lake obviously very familiar with each other, playing in the Fed League. And then, a pesky team in this district is going to be Camp McKinley. Just because Coach V gets those guys to play so hard. And he'd be the first to tell you, they're not super skilled, but they're going to play extremely hard. And then I also listed Warren Harding. But I think I am going to go with Green here. Green, to me, when you look at like the state in Division I, they are a team that like year in and year out they just win. They win a ton of games. They usually have pretty good success in the tournament. Maybe even make it further than they probably should. But this is a very well coached team, and they have a pedigree for success. And I think they're going to win this district.
Speaking of Green alumni, who are reasons why they've gone deep in the tournament, Garrison Kessler, 35 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and a double OT win against Findlay last night.
Wow.
So Green, that I don't know if Green's ever passed the eye test.
No.
The walk off the bus test. Green probably never looks too good walking into the gym, but their record speaks for itself. They're much deserving number 2 seed, and my pick to win this district. I do think it is interesting because down at the bottom, Warren G. Harding, the 15 seed, and Canton Glen Oak, the 20 seed, actually played last night, and Glen Oak won by almost 30. So I'm actually planning on going to that game because I want to see Glen Oak sophomore point guard Corey Lipkins has an offer to Youngstown State. Warren G. Harding also has a senior point guard. His name's slipping my mind right now, but he's near the top of Northeast Ohio in steals and I believe scoring as well. They also got a sophomore wing, Duncan Moy, who is getting some buzz. So I do want to see that game, hoping it's not a 30-point blowout like it was last night. But I really think the bottom of this district is wide open. You could tell me Warren, Glen Oak, Lake, or Walsh Jesuit is facing most likely green. McKinley could make a run, but probably going to be green in the district final.
All right, so moving on to Lakewood. This really looks nice for St. Ed's to me. You got the number 1 seed, Ed's. You got the 8 seed, Medina. You got the 11 seed, Amherst Steel. And a team that's been playing pretty well lately. You got the Fighting Sonny Johnsons at Garfield Heights. They're at 22. They've been playing well lately. But ultimately, I think we got Ed's moving on here.
Yeah, these next 2 districts are really simple. Ed's should win this district, and I'd be surprised if any game was within 10 to 12 points.
Yep.
Simple as that.
I would agree. Down in the Euclid, I only listed 2 teams. It seems like these teams, I know in their former district, they used to match up in the district final all the time.
Oh boy, we love a good Brush Menor playoff game.
Yeah. I really like this Brush team. I think they are much better, on paper than Menor. And I do think that they are going to advance here.
Chet should want this. He's the amount of good teams that he's had that have ended their season against Menor.
Mm-hmm.
I saw maybe his best one. It was Andre Harris and DJ Dials' senior year, Big John Hewley. His junior year, Elmore James was a freshman. And they got beat by a fellow very talented Menor team. That Menor team had a lot more pieces than this Menor team does. That Menor team had Luke Floria, Chad Rogers, Luke Chacon, Caleb Picks. They were pretty loaded. But I think Chet is looking at this and he's gonna be licking his chops like, I think we finally got him. And I think he's gonna enjoy it if he's able to finally break through, win a district title. And it's interesting that nobody wanted to join in on Brush or St. Ed's district, and Ed's decided to go east to play Brush in the regional semis. So I think that game's very likely going to happen. I believe they moved the regional semis to Copley from Cleveland State, but that's going to be a very intriguing rematch. Ed's took the regular season one by 5 at home. Like I mentioned earlier, nobody from Northeast Ohio Public Schools beat Ed's at home. But Ed's is very susceptible to losing on a neutral site or on the road. So if we get that matchup in the regionals, I'm sure there will be a lot of opinions about that game in Northeast Ohio.
Yeah, looking forward to a potential game with those two, potential rematch. All right, Region 3, Columbus. Columbus is probably just, Cincinnati maybe as well, but Columbus is pretty deep as far as teams that, you got your high-end teams, your Pick Centrals, Gahannas, Westerville South, but you got a lot of teams that are really good right underneath those teams, which is not surprising because there's no big parochials in Columbus. So you got a lot of multi-school districts. So most of the kids in Central Ohio are going to big public schools. So Columbus 3 district, you got Pick Central in the top. They're the number 1 overall seed in Columbus. Bottom half, you got Olentangy Liberty and Olentangy Orange. And then you got sleepers, could be Delaware Hayes at 18 and Dublin Kaufman at 21. I would be interested to see a Pick Central Liberty district. That would be a district final. But I do have the the Tigers moving on. They are dealing with some injuries right now. They are waiting a report on one of their players, a key member of the team, but hopefully going to be healthy here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, Pick Central, clear favorite in this district. I think it's interesting that 3 teams from whatever OCC division they call it, with Orange, Liberty, and Kaufman. I have no clue what the OCC divisions are called. But Orange, Liberty, Kaufman, all division rivals, all play each other twice, and they're all on the bottom side of the bracket, and they are the 3 highest seeded teams and the 3 best teams in the bottom side of this bracket. So it's going to be interesting to see who kind of survives that war of attrition at the bottom side. And I wouldn't put it past A.J. Sheldon to mess around and lead his team to a district final where they're likely going to be heavily outmatched by Pickerington Central.
Yeah, this interesting Delaware Hayes jumped in here. Hayes had some success against Central 2 years ago. I think they beat him in the district semis. Hayes had a really good team that year, a senior-led guard-heavy team, and Central was obviously playing a bunch of young guys at the time, with Stiles and Royal playing as freshmen. But I just thought it was interesting. Coach Vincenzo jumped in there with those guys. But yeah, definitely a heavy favorite here. Columbus 2. I like this district. I think there's some real potential here. You got Newark and Upper Arlington in the top. You got Pick North in the bottom, and then a team that maybe should be in the contender side, and I put them in the sleepers. Reynoldsburg at the 13 seed. I think Reynoldsburg is really good. Pick Central plays them again this Friday. 4-point game the first time. I for the sake of listing a favorite, I listed Pickerington North as the favorite here.
Yeah, this district is interesting. I wish Newark would have jumped in with Pickerington Central, if I'm being honest.
I would agree.
I think that would have been very interesting because nobody else would have wanted to jump in a district with the 1 and the 5 seed. Now Newark has to beat likely Upper Arlington and Pickerington North. Do I think that's a higher probability than likely getting a cakewalk to a district final with Pick Central? Probably not. I really, really like this Upper Arlington team. I think they're the type of team that beats Newark. They start 5 seniors. Out of the 8 kids that ever see the floor, 7 of them are seniors. They don't turn the ball over. Their 2 best players are wings. They're more athletic than Newark. They shoot the ball well, so like a pack line style of defense, they can punish you there. I think Upper Arlington matches up really well in this district. Start off the season like 11-0. Have been on a bit of a rough patch, but I think these seniors figure it out. I think a district title game, them and Pick North, I think you could flip a coin if you get there. But I think for the sake of being different, I believe enough in this Upper Arlington squad that I will pick them to win this district. But yeah, no disrespect to Pickerington North at all. One of the best teams in Columbus. They could easily win this district. Love their trio of senior guards, and freshman Arnis Lawson is one of the better freshmen in the entire state.
Yeah, never can go wrong as we approach March with a bunch of seniors. So both of those teams have quality seniors. Columbus won. Gahanna. Bottom half, you got Bradley, who's not to the level they have been the last 5-6 years. And then you got St. Charles and Columbus Northland in here as well. I got Gahanna advancing. I don't think there's much else to say for me.
If Gahanna goes ice cold in the district final against Hilliard Bradley, there have been more shocking upsets that I have seen. That's all I'm going to say.
So who are you
Much
picking?
more. Gahanna, but I think a lot of people are going to look at this and think it's case closed. If Gahanna doesn't shoot the ball well, they're going to be in a load of trouble. They struggled with Medina, and I think Hilliard Bradley has more upset pizzazz than Medina does right now. Medina game on the road, day after senior night. Seeds have already came out. That's fine. You're going to get a more focused Gahanna team in a district final than you would for that regular season matchup at Medina that happened last Saturday. Still, it wouldn't stun me if Hilliard Bradley upset them, but Gahanna is a heavy favorite.
All right. Write that one down. Columbus 4. I like this district as well. Top half of the district, you got Dublin Jerome, Hilliard Davidson, and then in the bottom you got the 3 seed undefeated Westerville South. You also have New Albany, and then a team that could be very dangerous is Westerville North, 12 seed. So here you could potentially see Westerville South against Westerville North. And then you could also see Jerome and Davidson, which I think would be great. Boy, I ended up going with Westerville South. I think they have the best player in this district. Something about the way Dublin Jerome is playing right now intrigues me, but I am going to stay with Westerville South.
I could see New Albany beating Hilliard Davidson by 10 points, but I kind of want to pick Hilliard Davidson to win this district. They got a lot of seniors, Jaden Nervis, Ryan Paris, notable guys. They shoot the ball at a high level. They've played one of the toughest schedules in Central Ohio. They're a lot more battle-tested than Dublin Jerome is, even though Jerome hasn't played a soft schedule by any means. I like Hilliard Davidson, and it's weird. I would almost like Westerville South more if they had a loss, I guess, because, I don't know, with that 0 next to your name, you just feel ripe that the next time it's close, you're going down.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be, I don't think they want to see Westerville North at all. North almost beat them once, maybe twice. I think they're praying that Walnut Ridge steps up and takes down Westerville North. So we'll see. It'll certainly be interesting. I don't think Walnut Ridge could beat Westerville South, but I do think they're very live to upset Westerville North in that sectional final.
And ultimately, you like
Davidson.
Okay, you liked it. Okay, cool. All right, so I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think I've heard you mention the Cincinnati region, and I know you like its depth. So in Cincinnati, the Southwest 3, this is pretty loaded. You've got the top half, you got Fairfield and you got Moeller. And then in the bottom half, you got Princeton and Walnut Hills. For the district favorite, I put wide open. So I'm going to let you start.
Okay, so Fairfield, having one of their best seasons in recent memory. A lot of guards. Deshaun Krim, Logan Woods, Colin Tolbert transfer from Keba Prep. So maybe some of the OHSAA people aren't as familiar with him as they were earlier in the year. Man, I don't know. I'm trying to think who I want to say is the favorite. I was going to say Fairfield right there, and then I stopped myself. Moeller, Carl Kramer, Evan Mahaffey. If they walk through this district, I think you'd look back and you'd say best coach, best player. Makes sense. Who do they have outside of Mahaffey? Players who have grown up throughout the year, but still, I don't know what the defining moment for Moeller has been this season. I would say probably a win at St. X, where Connor Malarkey hit a buzzer beater. But this is not the Moeller of old. And then down at the bottom, I believe they lost a game or two recently. Princeton. Yeah, they had back-to-back tough losses at Lakota East to start February and at home against Alter by 27. However, I think the job Brian Wyant has done this year has gone heavily unnoticed. And if he got some love for Division I Coach of the Year in the state of Ohio, it would be well deserved. I'm planning on going to the Princeton versus Walnut Hills game, which seems very likely to happen. So if it does happen, that district semifinal game, I will be there. Walnut Hills has the top sophomore in the state of Ohio, in Tyler McKinley. They started the year with an overtime loss to Moeller in a game where Moeller shot like 22 more free throws than them. Won 20 straight games. In the process, beat Turpin in a close one. And then their last game of the year, they lost to Turpin by like 25. So where their heads are at heading into the tournament, I don't know. Walnut Hills was kind of all year my sleeper team. I saw them lose to Moeller at the start of the year, and I was like, it's a team that could win a district as long as they avoided like the Centervilles of the world. So I'll pick them.
Okay.
Sage Tolentino, Hamilton.
Yeah.
Cincinnati Bearcats commit. I'm hoping to go see him against Moeller if that game happens. That's another team I haven't gotten to see this year. The GMC was good. This region is stacked, especially when you consider that nobody hopped in Centerville's district. The other three districts are brutal.
Yep. Yeah, I'm ultra conservative here. I am going to go with the pedigree. I just can't go against Carl Kramer in a district. Regional, that's a different story. I'm going to take Moeller to somehow find a way to get out of this district.
And they still got Mahaffey. They still got other pieces. It's not like the cupboard's completely bare for Moeller. Probably less talent across the board than Fairfield or Walnut Hills have. But this isn't a team completely hamstrung by the talent available.
So, Southwest 2, top half you got Elder, bottom half you got Wayne. You got Turpin, you got Mason, and you got Franklin. Elder and Wayne, I think, are the two best teams. They played in the regular season. Elder beat them 53-48. They did a very good job against Laurent Rice in that game. I think Laurent Rice was like 3 of 10 for 6 points in that game. Andrew Harp and Sean Keller combined for 39 points in that win. I really like this Elder team. I know they played once. Wayne is who was it? Somebody got them pretty good. Oh, Centerville. Centerville got them pretty good the other night, which
Get everybody pretty good.
they get everybody pretty good, except for Fairmont. Fairmont's played them pretty tough both times. I'm going to stick with Elder here. I'm going to stick with Elder to win this district.
I was intrigued when Turpin jumped in with Elder. They beat him in the regular season. That was a pretty big surprise at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then since that, Turpin waxed Walnut Hills. So I don't know. I mean, this seems like a classic. The game's at West Claremont, which is a lot closer to Turpin than Elder. I want to pick Turpin to win this district, but my head is going to tell me not to bet against Sean Keller, Andrew Harp, Carson Brown, Sam Whitmer. Elder's very experienced, so I'm going to pick them. However, I think this will come back to bite me, but I think the Elder Turpin game's the district final.
Okay. And
I don't see anybody from the Dayton side of the district being able to beat either of those teams.
And ultimately, you like Elder to advance?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Southwest 1, top half, Cincinnati, you got the 2-seeded Sycamore Aviators. You've got the bottom half, the 2-seeded Fairmont Firebirds. And then you've got St. Xavier as an 8 seed in Cincinnati, and then you got Beaver Creek as a 4 seed down in Dayton. Man, Sycamore's going to have to beat St. X just to get to district final. So they'll have to beat St. Xavier just to get to the district final, which is why I am going to pick Fairmont to advance here.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah, but I think Fairmont would be an underdog against both Sycamore and St. X individually.
I just like their path to the district final.
Yeah, that's fine. Does that say more about how good Fairmont is, or how a 6-8 GWAC team was the 4 seed in Dayton?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's like I said, obviously Beaver Creek. I like Fairmont's path to get to the district final. I think Fairmont's tough. Sometimes a knock on the Dayton teams when you compare it to the Cincinnati teams is Cincinnati teams sometimes are a little more physical, especially depending on how the game is called. And a lot of times the tournament favors the Cincinnati teams if the referees swallow the whistle and allow those GCL, GMC teams to play physical basketball where they're, bodying you up and the game's in the 40s. That certainly is not the way that a lot of the Dayton teams want to play. But I do think this Fairmont team is tough. They've seen the best team in the state twice. Both of those games were extremely competitive. They weren't routes. So I don't know. I mean, Sycamore and St. Xavier could easily make a case for them to win the district. I'm just going to go out on a limb and take Fairmont, though.
Yeah, I want to be fair to Fairmont because they play really good basketball. I saw them at Flying to the Hoop against Cincinnati Woodward. And it took me about a quarter to be like, man, this team, there's a reason why their only loss was at Centerville by 12 points at the time. However, they have 2 guys averaging over 6.2 points per game. That's it. They also don't have a rotation player taller than Deshaun Doucette's listed at 6'4". I have no idea how they defend Sycamore if that matchup happens. Genuinely no clue. I think Fairmont should be... Can they attend? They might be at the same... So that game's at Lakota West. Oh, no, it's at Centerville. So Fairmont can't actually go to the potential St. X versus Sycamore game, but if they could, they should all join the St. X student section, in my opinion. That's my take on the district. I'm going to pick Sycamore.
Okay.
However, Sycamore could easily lose to St. X, and I really like how Fairmont matches up with St. X. But if it's Sycamore, whew, I don't know how they handle the size at all.
So Mike is going with the Aviators, and I'm going to take the Firebirds. Our final district in Division 1, this is where the reigning state champs resides. Undefeated Centerville Elks, now 23-0. And interesting tidbit tonight, February 16th, their opener against Fairborn. Tom House went over 1,000, and a little bit later, Rich Rolfe went over 1,000. And they joined Gabe Cups. So now we have 3 1,000-point scorers all at the same time playing on the same team. With arguably, I could make a clear case for Brooke Cups being the best coach, X's and O's wise. Culture building. Anything you want to add to that? I think he is one of the very best. If he's not the best, he's at the top of the list. So you got a team that is not lost in, I'm trying to think the last time they lost a game, and to who it was. I think it was in January of last year. 3 1,000-point scorers, Brooke Cups.
I think I know who it is. I'm checking it right now.
Guys that know their role, that are willing defenders, that aren't going to take shots from the guys that can make shots. It's just a fantastic basketball team. They play a beautiful brand of basketball. With that being said, there are some good teams in this district. You got Lakota East, you got West High, you got Lakota West. That's not going to steer me from taking Centerville to win this district, but, there are some other good teams here.
So I was wrong with who I thought was the last team to beat Centerville. I thought it was Moeller. It was not. It was St. Vincent St. Mary. They went to Centerville on January 30th and beat them 74-66.
And then it was on from there.
It was. It was on 16 straight wins, then 22 this season. Pretty good. The most impressive thing about Centerville is that they should have the 99th and 100th ranked player, according to ESPN, in the senior class playing for them. That would have been curtains for everybody in the state. It still might be curtains for everybody in the state. For those of you who don't know who I'm talking about, Mike Sharafchance suited up for Centerville this summer. Was expected to play for the Elks, but instead decided to play for ISA. And then Keba Njai, for those who have been following Centerville for a while, his older brother Mo is now at Eastern Michigan starting from day one. And Keba transferred to La Lumiere in Indiana, a national powerhouse. Obviously worked out for both players. One committed to Dayton, one committed to Penn State. However, it would have been very cool if they were both at Centerville. I think the bottom half of this bracket is pretty interesting. I hope it's Lakota East against Centerville, because I think Centerville easily dismantles Lakota West or Western Hills in a district final. I think Clint Atkins, his teams are always tough. They always come to play. So I want to see that selfishly, because I think that's the only team that can even keep it competitive for 2.5 quarters from the bottom side of the bracket.
All right. So a lot of our picks are very similar. We did have some some differences, and we'll write those down and see how we did. Let it be known that I did bet Roth on one game last year for a dinner, which he did win. My memory serves me correctly. It was at Fort Fry and Fairland.
Yep.
Yes. Of
And
all
Fry.
Of all games that you could possibly bet
If
on.
I didn't bet Stubbs against a game involving an East District team, I don't think it'd be a bet, Stubbs.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah, my cadets let me down. They let me down. And they've been down since. All right, so we'll go through Division